When my mom passed away in 2000, I got her looms. In fact, I got this loom, but I had no idea how to warp it. Because what I was an executive at an insurance company. And I was also an actuary. I had graduated from Pomona College in math. So art was not my thing. I know I was artistic because I always did art projects with my mother. But, so here I had this loom, and I had the loom in the other room, no idea how to warp it. So I decided to take a class in weaving in 2003, and that's how I learned to warp it, and that's how I learned to weave. In fact, there's a piece in Small Expressions by Lillian Whipple, and I took a workshop from her, I think in 2004 or perhaps 2005, and she taught me what's called taquete. And that's what her piece is done at the exhibition, as well as mine. So she was the person who introduced me to that concept, and now this is what I've done with it since then. I was working at an insurance company for about, 25 years. And at a certain point, I just got bored, and I needed to figure out what to do. My father had always said, well, if you get bored, go do something else. There's no reason to be bored in life. Just go find something to do. And so what I decided, okay, I'll follow that logic. And there was two things I thought about doing. One, I'm going to set up my own financial planning firm. Because I had the background to do that, I had the experience to do that, and I actually had people who were willing to come work for me if I did that. So that was option one. But in the back of my mind, I had another idea, which is option two, to become an artist. Which was pretty funny, since I had no experience as being an artist. I had never taken an art class. I had never taken a history class of art. None of this. But I just had this idea that I could be an artist for some reason. And so I took that choice and I went down that path. And I decided in 2003 that yes, I'm going to become an artist. And I started with weaving because that's what Mom used to do. And it just started in 2003 and rolled on. I started weaving beetles in 2008, and that's where everything really kind of came together. And I just love doing beetles, beetles from Thailand, from California, from wherever, because they're so colorful and there's so many different designs. And I love doing patterns in nature. I just love how the patterns in nature show up. They're all so varied and so different. And in beetles, it's great because their backs always seem to have something going on. And so I've continued from there, and so now what I do is I work the patterns from nature theme, and I also try to incorporate my creative writing because I love to write, and I try to incorporate the creative writing with my fiber work. And so this is an example of that. You may say, that doesn't look like writing, but I say, ah, yes it is, because these are actual ancient hieroglyphics. And it's the verb to emerge, and you can see that there's a beetle emerging out of this hole or out of this kind of dung ball. Because if you know anything about beetles, you know that the dung beetle is a scarab beetle. So the Egyptians were actually in love with dung beetles. And dung beetles, if you know what they are, they're the ones that roll the dung and clean up after everybody's poop. And they roll them into balls, they lay their eggs, and their young eat the dung and come out. And so the dung disappears, and there have new dung beetles emerging. And so this is what this is all about. This is what I'm working on right now. It's a set of beetles, similar to the piece that's in Small Expressions, except this is going to be a longhorn beetle, whereas the one in Small Expressions is a dragon beetle. And you can see I weave 4 at a time. But each one's different because of the different background colors. There's different background colors like magenta, green, blue, and I don't know what color you use, rust. And you can also see the warp is subtly different colors. This is all black. You can kind of see this is kind of green and black. And this is rust and black. And this one's navy blue and black. So all of these makes them, each one's unique, but they're going to be similar. And here's my shuttles. I'm going to have black for the outline of the beetle. Little shiny material. This is sulky sewing thread. You can pick it up at Joann's. And then here's the background colors. You can see I sometimes mix. I won't have the same color in the shuttle. You get a much greater depth in the color if you use 2 versus 1. You can see that with the green too. I have 2 different types of green in there. And then this is my pattern. This tells me what to do. What I'm going to do is show you how I weave. Here's my pattern, and right now I'm on line 87. So let's just start. So what I like to do is I'll look at my pattern and I say, okay, here's my black. Where do I want black to show up? So I want black to show up in position 2, in position 4, in position 12, position 14, 15. And then I put the shuttle through the shed. You can see how there's a little opening in here. And the shuttle will go through. And then I will beat it down. So that takes care of the black. Now what I need to do is say gold. Where do I want gold? I want it in position 9, 10, and 11. So now I'll put the gold. Oops, something's wrong here. Oh, there we go. Then I'll put the gold through. All right, great. Now I have my background colors. So I need it in position 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Oops, 8. So I'm going to put the purple in. I'm going to put the green in. I'm going to put the blue in. And then I'm going to put the rust through. And so that's one pass. And then I'll take all the shuttles from that side and I will move them to this side. And then I'll just keep going back and forth and following the pattern. And it gets quite methodical and quite zen-like, and you just keep going until you're tired. Or you make a mistake. And then if you make a mistake, you fix it, and then you stop. This is a jar, and this is where I put my mistakes. When you make a mistake, you don't unweave it. All you do is cut off the thread and pull it out and start again with new thread. You'll never want to reweave it. So what I do is I save this and I fill Christmas balls. So I have a whole set of glass crystal balls filled with different colored threads from all the different weavings I've ever done. And it goes through the entire rainbow and comes back to blue. So there are 60 different designs of beetles in this. Actually, there's 59, and one of them a row of ants, because I had too many legs. Beetles only have 6 legs. Ants have more. So this was in the Grand Rapids, museum over there, the Gerald Ford Presidential Museum, and it won an honorable mention. So that was really exciting. That was my first exhibit. And since then, I've always entered various exhibits and various gallery shows. all the beetles here are done in what's called taquete. And I took her workshop, and I went back to this room, and I just turned this into a laboratory on taquete. I would weave things, and like images would just magically appear.